Anyone who wants to learn Chinese needs to memorize thousands of characters in order to reach Chinese literacy. For example, to pass the highest level of the HSK, the standard test for Chinese proficiency in China, you need to know around 3,000 of them. Passing the TOCFL, the equivalent proficiency test for Taiwan, also requires you to know around the same number of characters. Because of this, many believe that they only need to learn around 3,000 characters to be able to read and fully understand most things in Chinese. Unfortunately, this is simply not true in practice. In this video, I'll go over how many characters you actually need to learn to be able to read typical Chinese literature. I'll also cover some aspects of Chinese which make this level of character knowledge particularly difficult to achieve without directed study. Let's start with the obvious. If 3,000 characters is not enough, then what is? 4,000? 10,000? 47,000?
No, God!
One possible answer is around 8,000 characters, or 8,105 to be precise. That is the number of standard characters specified by the Chinese government for general use. However, that list contains many rare characters that the average literate Chinese would not know themselves. Nevertheless, this narrows down our target number to somewhere between 3 and 8,000. A better approach is to analyze the number of unique characters within text that the Chinese themselves would read. To this end, I coded up a simple script that analyzes the character content of some traditional Chinese ebooks that I had on hand. I found that the entire series of the traditional Chinese version of Harry Potter contains 1.7 million characters in total and 4,026 unique Chinese characters. On the other hand, The Legend of the Condor Heroes by Jin Yong, a popular martial arts series, had 781,000 characters in total and 4,242 unique Chinese characters. Lastly, when combined, the two series had 2.5 million characters in total and 4,830 unique Chinese characters. Given that the average literate Chinese should be able to read either of these series without too much difficulty, we can confidently say that the number of characters you need to learn is at least somewhere between 4 and 5,000. That's a lot of characters. This leads to another question. If the number of characters we need to learn is much more than 3,000, then why do most proficiency tests max out at only 3,000? In reality, knowing 3,000 characters is enough to recognize around 99% of characters you come across in normal reading, which in turn allows you to get the main gist of a text, even if there are some characters or words you may not know the meaning of, and certainly cannot pronounce. However, for those who set their aims on the very common and reasonable goal of being able to read aloud and fully understand Chinese literature or even a newspaper in Chinese, it is clear that 3,000 is simply not enough. Every language has a similar gap between the proficiency needed for communication and the higher level understanding required for reading literature. After all, what is literature but the beautiful towering peaks of any written language? However, the non-phonetic writing system of Chinese imposes a unique challenge that makes this gap between proficiency and mastery larger than other languages, while also being much harder to bridge. Allow me to demonstrate. For a language with a roughly phonetic script like English, one can easily pick up new words by simply reading without necessarily needing a dictionary. For example, here's a slightly modified sentence from Wikipedia that contains a fairly rare word, defenestrate. The victim was defenestrated from the building by the perpetrator, but they survived the fall from the third floor window. By reading this sentence, we can get the pronunciation and meaning of the word even if we did not know it already. The pronunciation we get just from reading the word itself, defenestrate. Its spelling contains no major quirks or pronunciation pitfalls. The meaning we get from looking at the sentence context. Indeed, we can easily infer that defenestrate is an action done that leads to a person falling out the window. This inference is not far from the actual definition, to throw someone out a window. As we see, understanding the meaning and pronunciation of new words in English, or most languages, can be done without a dictionary in some situations. However, in Chinese, this is not possible to the same degree. This is due to the mostly non-phonetic aspects of the script. Let's demonstrate by replacing the word from the previous sentence with its equivalent in Chinese. If you don't know these characters already, this roughly simulates the experience of coming across new characters when reading actual Chinese text. As before, we can still infer the meaning of this word from context. However, we have no reliable mechanism for determining its exact pronunciation without the use of an external dictionary. And the precise, terse, and tonal nature of Chinese means that the pronunciation of each character and word is even more important to know and say correctly relative to other languages. Trust me, anyone who has spent significant time in Taiwan or China knows this bitter truth all too well. Of course, English writing, while mostly phonetic, is not perfectly so. Far from it. However, even those who fall into common pronunciation pitfalls due to the very nature of English orthography, like reading this word as bourgeoisie instead of bourgeoisie, can usually still be understood. This is not the case for Chinese. To sum up, the non-phonetic aspect of Chinese characters makes learning characters all but require conscious study and memorization, either that or a dictionary perennially at hand. This precise problem is what led to the creation of HanziHero, our character learning web application. As covered in our other videos, we use a mnemonic approach to make learning and remembering the pronunciation, as well as the meaning, of each character as easy as possible. This, combined with our built-in review system, makes it easy to master Chinese characters. We currently have around 3,900 traditional characters and 3,100 simplified characters, with an aim of covering around 4,000 to 5,000 characters you need to know in both scripts by the end of the year. It's free to start, so if you are looking for a tool to help you master the many thousands of Chinese characters you will need to learn, check it out. If this video was useful to you, let me know with a big thumbs up. If you want to see more videos about how to learn Chinese, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.